What's going on, cruisers? It's your boy Mike here for another issue of Cruise Control. Thanks for riding with me. Today's episode, we're checking out part 2 of this unbelievable car collection. It's a 5-car experience. We've actually gone through 3 of the vehicles already. Today we're checking out the best of the collection, the last 2. So if you haven't checked out the first part, go back and watch part 1. This is part 2. I'm not going to spoil too much, and I'm not going to waste too much of your time. We're going to hop right into this video, so let's go. Ride with me while we check out the rest of this collection. Let's go. See ya.
Cruise, cruise, cruise. Cruise, cruise, cruise. Cruise, cruise, cruise.
Well, cruisers, we're on to this here beautiful 48 Chevy Fleetmaster 2-door town sedan. One thing, this car just stands out because of the color. This, I love it. Come and take a walk around with me, cruisers. Okay, cruisers, so I'm gonna bring Tom in, the owner. I want to show you what's under the hood of this big blue beast, and who better to talk about the engine than the owner? So let's go ahead. One thing actually unique about these cars, anybody with a 48 Chevy knows the hood release is actually inside, and then this is where the magic happens. Okay, Tom, here, I guess it'll stand open there, but now this is a big beast of an engine here, Tom. So why don't we discuss a little bit? Now this is a
216.5 cubic inch overhead valve straight 6-cylinder engine.
Nice.
Chevy, these were nicknamed the Chevy Stove Bolt. Chevrolet came out with this in 1929, and they built them till 1963 in different displacements and different variations, but they're basically the same engine.
Okay, cruisers, we're gonna hop in the car here. Check out this beautiful 48 interior. Love the visor on this too. All right, guys. Check out some of the detail in here as you get in. Love the old school lettering. You can tell it's period correct. Move the seat there for you guys. Look at how plush that interior is. You sit down, you just sink down. So we've got Tom, the owner, here with us. Obviously on something like this, it has been restored to original, but just pointing out the interior on this thing, Tom, is phenomenal. Like, there's so many little details. It's definitely showing its year. I know a lot of 2017 cars that aren't this clean, so to have something this old, this unique, and to have it in this kind of condition is pretty cool to see. So why don't you explain some of the details to the viewers here, to the cruisers, about the interior here of this 48 Chevy.
Vacuum wiper control right there. Puts the wipers on.
Oh, cool. Just give it a little flick.
Flip down, that turns the wipers on. You operate by vacuum.
That's cool.
This is a traffic light viewer. You sit in these cars this era, you can't see the traffic lights at the intersection because of the visor. It's a prism. If you look in there, you can see the traffic lights that show it. Just sitting back, you'll see if there's a traffic light up there, you can see it. It's green or red.
You know what? Let me zoom in on that, cruisers, and show you guys.
Other things, a 30-hour wind-up clock. You wind the clock up and set your time, and it will run for, it's supposed to run for 30 hours, and it actually works.
Wow.
Tissue dispenser that I picked up, an aftermarket tissue dispenser. It would have been period correct for back in the day.
That is cool.
The original AM radio, the speakers in the dash here, and it still works. It's got the old vibrators and the tubes in it, and it will warm up and work eventually.
So if you have anything that you want to hide, obviously that's the spot.
Yeah.
Now, probably a lot of people are looking at what this is here.
Ashtray.
Something you don't get in cars nowadays.
Ashtray. Cigarette lighters over here. There's the radio. Still the original radio, still works, AM.
That is cool. Now we better cut that so we don't get copyrighted.
Starter on this car is a button on the floor. That's the starter right there. There's an accelerator pedal and there's a button down there you push to start the car.
Wow.
Chevrolet used that for years.
So when would they have came out with that? Probably
Late 30s they started using that. And I think 48 might have been the last year for it. I think
Wow.
the 49s had key start. And then just the glove box in there.
Put a lot in there.
This car has a couple options. It's the Style Master was the plain car, and this is the Fleet Master. So it has the deluxe steering wheel. It has both heaters. It has a heater under the seat, under my seat where I'm sitting.
Huh.
And it has a defroster on it too. So there's two separate switches for the two heaters.
And I also noticed you got the AC and
That's
the
yeah,
vent.
the vent, the air conditioning is the vent there. It opens and shuts. You don't
That
like
is cool. That is cool. Unbelievable. And obviously the dash, everything here is all original.
Yeah, I didn't even restore that.
Wow.
So that's the way it was.
And then we've got the turn signals over here.
That's another option. This car is factory turn signals because these cars did not come with turn signals. It was an option. Most people put an aftermarket one in back in the day, but this has got the factory turn signal option on it, which is really rare.
So if it was an option, how many people would have been putting on those back in 48?
Probably not many because people didn't spend a lot of money back then. So it might have been a dealer option put on, or it might have been at the factory. I don't know, but at the GM signal switch, it was put on probably at the factory, I'm assuming.
Wow.
But most of these cars you see the aftermarket, like guide or thermostat or something like that on there, not the original GM one.
Unbelievable. That's why I love hanging out with collector cars. Unique features throughout, really. Well, Tom, I gotta say, if I had stuff like this every day, I'd pull it out. I have a big grin on my face.
Every time we go somewhere, we usually take one, unless the one is really crappy. You have to choke it, crank it a couple times to flush the carburetor to get it.
Just to get it going, eh?
Start. Wow.
Okay, guys, on to vehicle number 5 of the collection. In my opinion, one of the coolest ones in the car collection. This 1915 Ford Model T Runabout. So this is a Canadian car. So in Canada we called them a Runabout, and Tom was actually filling me in. In the States they called them the Roadsters. So let's show you some details. Actually, before we go too far, this is a crank start, guys. So what you would do in order to start this vehicle up, you probably saw earlier when Tom was getting it going, but basically you gotta wrench this thing and it fires up the engine. There is no electric start or anything like that. That's how you get her going. And also, this would be, I guess you could consider it the last year of the brass era. I believe the 16s did have a few brass trims, but for the most part, you lost that. All the fire, the rad, the rings on the headlights, they would have been, you know, all switched out after this year. So another unique feature actually with the 15, they switched to a metal firewall. All before that, it would have been a wood firewall. So again, let's get looking at some of the details on this 15 Ford, guys. So what should we first point out? Well, what comes to mind, Tom, for me that I want to point out, maybe that you can explain to the viewers here, is the speedometer, I guess what you were saying here, all the gears?
That's the speedometer gear. The driving gear is on the wheel and the driven gear is on there, and it runs a cable up under the dash to the speedometer. And this thing has period correct Hassler shock absorbers. That's these little springs in here. Because of the buggy spring suspension, that they use these shocks on all four wheels to help keep the car more stable on the rough roads of the day. They wouldn't have come out of the factory with them, but it was a period accessory for the time.
Which is pretty neat that you actually have them still installed on here, and actual Hassler brands too, right?
Yeah, the tags are on there and everything.
That is neat, but incredible, the technology that they were doing for speedometers back in the day. Yeah, let's take a peek. Now this is a 20 horsepower engine?
20 horsepower.
Wow.
Flathead, 4-cylinder.
Wow. Cruisers, come around here and take a peek at this bad boy.
No fuel pump, no water pump, no distributor.
Built to go.
Simple. Magneto ignition. That's pretty neat. And of course, they've got all the little brass accents in here.
Yeah. With the Ford emblems. That's incredible.
Should say made in Canada on that heads. This has got its Canadian serial number on it, which C stands for Canada. And that is
just incredible. Obviously, you got the horn in here as well. Tom, do me a favor, maybe you want to talk a little bit about this. Now that's how you adjust the speed, is it?
That's your throttle,
Yep.
engine speed, and this is your spark advance, retarded or advanced. Cars nowadays do it automatically, they have for years, but this, you had to do it manually on these.
That's incredible. So this is something truly not anybody and everybody can just hop in and drive.
Very few people can drive a Model T unless you...
You gotta have some knowledge.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's your fuel gauge.
That tells you how much gas
How
we
much
got
fuel in the
left.
tank.
Wow.
Dip the tank.
Wow. So everything is all in here. The fuel cell, fuel tank. Wow.
There's a trunk at the back.
Nice little bit of wood just covering it. Period correct, but leather. This leather is nice.
Yeah.
But I can't get over the ride height of this thing.
And the trunk, you've got what's called a turtle deck, but it's a trunk in there.
Just enough for a cooler or two and some
this,
tools.
Yeah, and this battery actually, the only reason it's in there really is to operate the signal.
Oh,
Aftermarket
sure,
signals.
sure.
And to help start it. You don't have to have it to start, but it helps it start easier with the battery. Then you switch it over to run it on magneto.
We want to note on this car is these are wood, first off, and this is actually how it would have came from the factory. These were painted black. It's period correct. A lot of people would actually sand them down, put a lacquer just to seal it up, make it look pretty, but this is truly the way they would have came from the factory. Black on black. Well, cruisers, that is going to sum up another episode of Cruise Control. So I just want to thank you guys for riding with me. This was an unbelievable experience. I love going through these collections. Tom's is fantastic. There's so many unique things about his car collection. It was really hard to just shorten everything into these 2 videos, so I hope you enjoyed it. And I just want to also let you guys know that if you happen to have a vehicle in mind, or if you have a vehicle that you want to see featured in an upcoming episode of Cruise Control, go down below, comment it. I'd be happy to reach out and maybe we can work something out. And to all you cruisers, thanks for watching. Go down below, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, share it with your friends. I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you down the road, and happy cruising. Take care, cruisers.
Cruise, cruise, cruise. Cruise, cruise, cruise.